I welcome you into the brave, energetic space of birth back to the wild, where we unravel the threads of our existence to reveal the truth beneath the surface of modern birth and motherhood. My name is Jessica Olson, and I am your host for Birth Back to the Wild. On this episode, I wanted to actually touch back a little bit and go deeper on the sacral chakra and some things that connect into the sacral chakra that are really potent when it comes to feminine medicine and energetic healing. And there's several components within the sacral chakra, within this category I'm going to go through. And what it really relates to is the impact it has on our sacral chakra, things that happen to us, whether by choice or that happen to us because we are more complacent, we feel forced, we feel like we have to do something for such and such reason. And I feel there's such a deep trauma for women in the sacral because of a really long history of women being seen as ownership in marriages, in the way fathers basically sell off their daughters to men for marriage. And that's basically how marriage began, is it was this ownership of a girl, very young girls, usually often. And with that came this obligation to have sex with your spouse, with these men that women often were not in love with. I mean, more often than not in love with, or not wanting to share a bed with these people. We see it often even in the royal families. When you have a new marriage, you get married, and there was this witnessing of their first night together, which is horrifying because they need to first check to make sure the girl was a virgin, which was a highly abusive and a breach of autonomy in itself. Probably very uncomfortable and painful. And then she was ultimately forced to lay and have sex with a person that she didn't want to. And this has carried through the line of women for a very long time. Thousands and thousands of years, I would assume. And I think the first part of it I want to talk about is when it comes to non-consensual sex, often the assumption is that if she does it, then she's consenting. If she's not being physically forced or chained down or pinned down or whatever, she's participating, so it's consensual, which isn't true. Our body is an indicator of the soul's willingness. And there is this there's a competing dynamic going on within a woman in these moments where she's being told that she needs to do something by a partner. In her mind, she's been conditioned in a certain way over years whether it be groomed as a child to just go along with what is happening and don't argue, by a partner who wants to have sex, maybe for the first time, maybe many times, and she's being pressured, the manipulation involved in feeling like she is worthy of the relationship, worthy of the man, wanting to make him happy, and going along with the sexual experience when her body doesn't want to. This is where mind over matter is an absolute breach of yourself. You are abandoning the spiritual essence of your body because of the conditioning from other people, from a culture, from a family, from many men, whatever it may be. And this runs so damn deep. I feel like I could talk about this forever. Because it's not, I think we first need to identify that it's not all men who are the problem. It is not all men are only worried about sex, or they're going to make me have sex, or they're going to only be worried about sex, or no. This is wounded men. It is emotionally immature men. It is men who are conditioned to behave a certain way, or to live a certain way, or to believe a certain way, that is also not in tune with their true essence. So this is their wounding bleeding onto women. And women have, for many different reasons, due to even just the physical capacity to be able to fight off a man or not, decided to just go along with it because it's easier than speaking up or trying to end the moment, trying to leave the room, trying to leave the relationship, trying to get out. So women have abandoned their own bodies, suppressed their own spiritual intelligence, their own intuition and instincts for the conditioning of the culture around them, for their own survival, essentially. Because in many circumstances, they didn't feel safe enough to say no. And again, that isn't particularly a reflection of the external. It is also a reflection of the internal. Not feeling like there's another option. Not wanting to confront it. Not wanting to feel rejected when he doesn't want to be with you because you won't have sex with him. There's this, women have very often been taught to bypass their own needs to appease those around them. And that's in direct denial of your own needs, of your own body's desires. And if you really look and feel into your body in these moments, you can feel your body tense. You can feel the pit in your stomach, the heaviness of your energy. that you know that you were abandoning yourself for that experience. Quote unquote, for survival. And then often, as a byproduct of these situations, there has also been this dynamic where women have learned to use sex as a means of manipulation to get their way, to get a certain outcome, to keep the person they're married to in order for financial security or physical security, whatever it may be. Sex has now become a currency in itself. And then we wonder why there's so many failed relationships. Because sex is brought to the table far too soon. Before love is actually present. Because there's often unconscious manipulation, coercion, submissiveness that happens for the sexual experience to take place in order to maintain that connection, even when love might not be there yet. You might feel a desire to have sex or to connect with this person, but you let that physical chemistry lead instead of letting your heart and soul lead. That is why I am now a huge believer in not having sex with someone for a significant period of time in a relationship, because I feel that in many ways it can actually compromise the relationship, the integrity of the relationship, when it's brought into play too soon. So now we see this extreme energetic imbalance because of this deep wounding women feel in their wombs. And I've been feeling this call more and more and more, and I have done some womb healing work, and I've been diving into it more and more because our womb, our sacral, is creation. Within our womb space is creative energy, powerful creative energy, pleasure, expression. No, not just sexual pleasure. Pleasure in life. Pleasure in creating. And when we can bring healing into the womb space, burning away, purifying these deep dark shadows we carry inside of us from all of these sexual related traumas in our sacral, in our womb, that is when we awaken this really powerful creative energy as women. And that is our magic. That is the feminine magic. That witch magic, that really deep, powerful, I feel, where men have historically felt threatened by the power of women. because of that magic we carry in the womb. So by dominating the woman, they felt more powerful. And these are both wounds on the men and women of human history that we are now being faced with today. And I strongly believe that the increase in relationships failing, marriages ending in divorce, is not because people are giving up too easy. It's not because people are taking the easy way out. It's not because people don't believe in the value and beauty of a union, of a partnership. Is because we're starting to understand the ritual of marriage. Not even consciously, but subconsciously. We're beginning to see the darker roots to the ritual of marriage. And how it has breached the autonomy of women more than anything. It's created an ownership, which we were never meant as humans to have over each other. It's created codependency in such a big way that most of us don't even understand what being in integrity with yourself truly looks like. Because we've always been taught to be an accommodation to somebody else. And while there is value to that, that should not bypass your own spirit, body, and emotions. So I'm going to leave that here for today. I intend to go much deeper in this area in the future as we get through Purify and Awaken and Expansion, the stages of my Seeds of Birth program, which will be coming later this year. If you want to work with me more closely, you can check out my website, seedsofbirth.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Follow me on Spotify. And don't forget to sign up for my newsletter. As I get deeper into my work, I will be sending at least monthly updates on what we're going to be offering as far as women's circles, workshops, movement classes, courses that will be coming, and ultimately retreats, which, as I said, my first retreat I think will be this fall in Wisconsin, possibly Michigan next year. So thank you all for being here. I love and appreciate you. Stay wild.